Hey guys, I just want to take a few minutes and talk about how we structure our classes to ensure that our coaches have as much time as possible and you have as much time as possible to build the foundation that we really need to get the results that we're going for. So first of all, let's talk in general about what results we're after here. We call them PATH: performance, aesthetics, joint and tissue health, health and wellness. So what we're not willing to do is go after one of these things and give up something on the other. So we want to build all of these things together, and ultimately that's the advice we're giving people here in the gym. So what we're trying to do is build a foundation to live healthy, fit, and pain-free into your 90s. And what we also know is that this is the only way to build a foundation for elite performance. So we don't have one or the other. We're actually going for both. You can't be at a high level without that foundation of movement. So this class structure here that we've come up with, it allows our coaches a lot of time to coach you one-on-one, but it also allows you a lot of time to develop the techniques necessary and to put in the necessary effort and work to get these results we're talking about. So let's talk about what a class looks like and then on any given day how this changes. So there's a few pieces in here that are going to show up every day regardless of what the core workout is. And then there's a few pieces in here that may show up on any given day, and we may mix and match these things around. So every class, we're always going to start with a general warm-up. A coach will lead the whole group through. This looks like yoga-ish, weird range of motion, stretches, general mobility, where we're working on developing flexibility, stability, balance, all of these things generally in your body. What we've learned is 1 to 3 hours of yoga or a week does not get the results, especially flexibility and stuff that people are looking for, and it's a lot of time spent. What we've learned over time, and we've developed a lot of people's flexibility in this way, is that 5 to 10 minutes of just general yoga-ish weird movement, working on full ranges of motion through our whole body, 5 to 10 minutes a day consistently develops some really, really flexible people and allows us to get into the positions that the human body is supposed to be able to get in. So we like to start all of our classes out with this general warm-up. The other thing we also include in this general warm-up is just exercises and things we do to get our heart rate up. That's going to get blood flowing. It's going to get us primed, ready for the rest of class. The next step is what we call movement prep. So this is going to be a little more specific to what we're doing in the rest of class, where the general warm-up is a little more just full body things, making sure we hit on every little piece that our body needs. The movement prep is going to be much more specific for the day. So this is going to give us time to learn, practice, and develop our movement techniques and develop that foundation as it relates to everything else. So we'll start tying everything in and start using the movements that we're going to use in the workout later in this movement prep section. Total, these two areas take about 10 to 20 minutes, usually landing in like the 15-minute range. Then we get to some of the pieces that some of these might show up, and you might get one of these pieces a day, or you might get 2 or 3 of these pieces each day. But in CrossFit, and the way we like to train, every day is different. So some days we might be working more on skill and cardio. Other days we might be working more on strength. Other days we might be mixing and matching this together. So on any given day, some or all of these things, or one of them, might be showing up in your class. So what they are, first section might be a skill section. We might take something like handstands or jump roping or learning technique in a movement, and we might spend some time working on skill. This might also be running technique. That's an area a lot of people can use improvement. So the skill section gives us time to actually improve our technique. That way when we get into the later sections, we can try and develop that skill under a little more stress. A next possible area that might show up in class is strength. So this looks more like typically barbell movements, although we can do body weight exercises here. But this is going to be a little slower paced. sets of anywhere from 1 rep to 10 to 12 reps, usually in this range. And we might be focusing on building muscle, developing strength, or testing ourselves, but generally it'll be doing a set and resting, where we can really have time to focus on technique and developing strength that can further assist our fitness later on. When people typically think of CrossFit workouts, what they typically think of is this metabolic conditioning piece. This is where heart rate goes up, we're really pushing hard. In here, we like to do almost all of our workouts with a high priority on quality technique. Then we go as hard as we can, and then every now and then we test where we try and go as hard as we can using the techniques that we've developed. So metabolic conditioning, it's also known as just Metcon, or you might have heard WOD, workout of the day. And again, this is where we're mixing cardio and weightlifting in to work aerobic and anaerobic metabolic pathways together. But when people typically think of what CrossFit is, this is kind of what they typically think of. Afterwards, we might have some accessory work. What this tends to look like is more like classic bodybuilding things. 3 sets of 8 to 15 reps. We're trying to work on weaknesses, build muscle, build technique in certain areas. So again, out of all of these things, maybe 1, maybe 2 typically show up each day, sometimes more. And then what we know is when one of the areas is more intensive, then it may be the only one that day, or we know we're going to have to do shorter sessions in these if we're going to link them all in one day. What shows up in every single class is a cool down and mobility. The cool down helps us just get rid of muscle waste that happens from our high intensity exercise here. It's extremely important. Our lymphatic system works through gravity and muscle contraction. So our lymphatic system is what actually drains everything out after the workout and just in general throughout the day. And so by doing 3 minutes or more of slow cardio at the end of a workout really helps us get the muscle contractions and blood flow we need to really jumpstart the recovery process and not let all that stuff just kind of pool in our muscles, leaving us to get a little more sore and more stiff. Then we always like to do some mobility work. So this is where we're going to get a little more specific with the tools. We might be using lacrosse balls, foam rollers, bands, that kind of stuff. Every now and then, mobility work will make its way up into the movement prep section, but we're very careful to make sure what we're doing is assisting us that day, and it's actually not going to be a detriment. So, for example, if we do long static stretching, holding poses for a long time, that can actually increase your risk of injury and decrease your performance if we're doing it right before a workout. So we want to save a lot of our soft tissue work where we're really getting a little more aggressive, trying to gain new ranges of motion and recover our tissues and joints. We want to save that till way before, hours before the workout or after the workout, while we're already in the gym, we're already hot and sweaty, and our muscles are a little more receptive to change. So, on any given day, we're always going to do general warm-up and movement prep. We're always going to cool down and have mobility. That takes from 20 to 30 minutes every class. And then we've got 20 to 40 minutes a class. Saying that out loud, I don't think my math checks out there. But anyway, hang in there with me. So then we have the rest of class to work this stuff in. The core of what we do here is going to be in this metabolic conditioning, but we do throw in skill work, strength work, and accessory work, all to assist trying to get us overall fit, trying to get us to these results we talked about earlier. All right, let us know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in class.